I came in here to record a video, and it wasn't this video, but when I was clearing notifications, I had a message that used the phrase, just play airsoft, and they didn't mean anything by it, the message was totally fine, but I hate that phrase. I hate the phrase, why don't you just play airsoft? Or the opposite of, oh, I used to airsoft, but now I just Nerf. Because it implies this hierarchy between the sports that I really disagree with. And I don't think when most people say it that they mean it like that. I think it's more of a symptom of an unconscious bias that we have because of how pervasive that way of thinking is in the respective hobbies. So I thought that I would take this chance to just explain the big three reasons why I do this instead of airsoft, because I do have a background in paintball and airsoft. I choose to do this because I like this. But to explain my first point, I first kind of have to explain how I feel about the different sports, because I think that'll frame everything else. So to me, the thing that differentiates the sports is the projectile, because the type of projectile that an airsoft replica or a paintball marker or whatever gel ball calls their things and a Nerf blaster dictate everything. It dictates the range that you play at, the velocities that you play at, the common velocities that you play at, whether it can be played indoors, outdoors, publicly, privately, how many rounds a person can feasibly carry on their body and have loaded into a blaster, which affects the strategy and tactics of that game. If you have 500 rounds, you are going to behave and play differently than if you can only hold 10. That's just the way it works. So the first reason that I like this is because I like these darts. I like that these are large, which is funny because I feel like in the hobby we continuously try to minimize the size of our mechanisms and increase the amount of darts we can carry, which is kind of counterintuitive to how I feel about it, but that's fine. I like that the size of a dart means that our velocities are generally lower, and that means that generally we play in a more close quarters environment. Even here, when we're playing outside, it's still pretty close quarters compared to other sports. It's 75 feet away is not really that far. I like everybody sort of being around and just having everything in one spot, just sort of happening. When you play in larger areas at higher velocities, it tends to gravitate towards a play style that's more defensive and sniper-y. There's a lot of nothing going on until something goes on, and I just prefer that everybody be in your face at all times. Just generally what I like. I also like that darts minimize the amount of ammunition that we can usually carry, because again, you play differently if you have a lot of rounds, and I like that if I only have 18 darts in my blaster, I need to think about how I want to use those darts. If I fire 2 rounds every time, that's a conscious decision, and I'm trading my capacity for whatever benefit that gives me, and I like making that choice. I like having choices around it. And I kind of feel like if we had 200 round magazines, I wouldn't have to think about it. It wouldn't matter. I would just full auto all day, every day, which is what we see happen in Rival generally. In Rival, if you're not loading up 200 rounds, it's like, why even bother with Rival? So that's also why I don't really use Rival a whole lot. I also like that you can see darts in the air. I like that you can track them and tell where they came from. You can follow the dart in midair to the person, and now you're engaged with that person. I like that because you can see them, you have a chance to dodge them, or even if you can't actually dodge them, it feels like you can dodge them, which is a more engaging, dynamic thing rather than just getting hit and that's it. Giving you the illusion that you can do something about it is just a little bit more engaging in my opinion. So that's the first reason, is I like darts more than I like pellets. Paintballs are kind of in the same vein, but I don't like paintball for other reasons. So, but the second reason, and this is a big one, I like that generally speaking, at least comparably, darts don't hurt. Yes, if you are close enough or using a high enough powered blaster, it is going to hurt. A 300 FPS caliburn is going to hurt, but a 150 FPS flywheeler from like 50 feet away generally speaking, I think most of us can agree is not a painful experience. In fact, sometimes you don't even feel the hits, and that's why we have to call hits on occasion. So I like that as a norm, this is not a painful sport. I know that it can be. Again, I know I'm gonna get a comment that's like, I got hit with a jolt from like a foot away and it was the worst experience of my life. But again, I feel like generally we can all agree that it's just not as painful of a sport. It's not expected that you will be hurt. Now, the reason that I like this, and it feels kind of weird that I have to defend it, is that I don't want to hurt someone. When I played Airsoft, I noticed that a lot of the times I wouldn't take a shot that I ordinarily would have because I was second guessing myself as to, am I going to hit them in the head? Oh, do they have eye protection on? Is their arm uncovered? Maybe I should aim for their legs. All those kind of little things, they're not like huge distractions from the gameplay, but they're distracting enough that I noticed I was thinking about them. And it just kind of makes the whole thing a little bit stressful for me because I'm thinking about that instead of just relaxing and playing and like enjoying what I'm doing. But with this, I can just see a person pull a trigger and it never like goes into this mental space where I'm deciding if I want to fire at them. Well, I mean, I am from a tactical standpoint, but not from a, am I going to injure that person standpoint. And that does happen. There are, face shots and things like that. And it does occur, but I just don't worry about it. And I really like not worrying about it because I don't want to play a hobby that is stressful to participate in. Like, why? I would just go do something else at that point, which is what I did. That and the properties of a dart that I talked about is also why I don't chase high velocities. If you were unaware, the club that I participated in has a cap of 150 FPS. Many people consider that to be a low FPS. I think it's perfect. I think it's fine. 200 is also okay, but even in 200 cap games, I usually use like a 160, something like that, because that's fine for me. I don't need the extra velocity most of the time, which is a topic for another day. But I don't enjoy 250 FPS, 300 FPS games, because to me, that starts to take away from the things that I enjoy about the hobby. So I think that high FPS blasters are, they're cool, they're interesting. It's interesting from a mechanical and engineering standpoint. It's cool seeing people get up to, but it doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't care. That is actually the highest FPS blaster that I have. It's like 220, 230 right now, and I have never taken it on the field for that reason. There's literally nowhere where I'm able to use that currently. And I know that some people are going to hear this block and just go like, oh, he's such a wuss, he doesn't want to get hurt, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's a weird sentiment too, because why do you want to get hurt? Like if it happens, whatever, but I'm not actively going out to be injured. That just isn't my idea of a fun time. Maybe it's your idea of a fun time. Knock yourself out. And before I get into my last reason, I do want to make it clear that I'm not in any way saying that I think that Airsoft, Paintball, etc. are bad, or I don't see the appeal to them or understand them, because a lot of people might not like the things that I like about this hobby. They might not like playing in close quarters. They might not like the slower velocities. They may want a different gameplay experience, and pellets and paintballs allow for a different gameplay experience. It's just not one that I personally care a whole lot about, but I get why they exist and I get why people do it. Airsoft is much closer to simulating warfare than, say, a dart blaster typically is. I just prefer a more arcadey experience. It's just like a first-person shooter. There's a difference in the way that Battlefield feels compared to Call of Duty. So some people like one, some people like the other. Merits to both. Not saying one is bad or one is better. Just this works better for me. And my third reason for choosing this hobby over the others is that I have a kid who just turned 1. And I would like to participate in a hobby with him. Maybe he won't like this at all. I mean, he'll probably at least like it a little bit. I think it'd be weird if he didn't, but he might not. I'm assuming that he will. And I think it's going to be really cool to have something that we can do together that's active and outside and fun, and he can learn all kinds of different skills and modify things, and it'll be great. And the issue with airsoft and paintball and all of that is that a lot of airsoft and paintball are played on private fields because they can't be played publicly, at least where I live. And those private fields have liability waivers that generally do not allow players under the age of 13, which means that if I wanted to play paintball with my kid, I'd have to wait 12 more years. And that's a long time. I don't know that my knees will still function very well 12 years from now. So I would like to participate in a sport with him while I'm still able to participate in a sport at a level that is not just me kind of walking around casually, although I do that too. It depends on the day. And that doesn't mean there's like a time limit on, well, I mean, every hobby has a time limit, but my plan is not that I'm doing this for the next 12 years and after that I'm throwing it all away and I'm just going full sail on airsoft. It just means that at this point in my life, this is something that I can do with my kid relatively soon. We have players, again, thanks to our lower FPS cap, that have been like 5, 6, 7, and they do fine. People are good about not shooting children directly in the face usually, and they're really good at grabbing objectives because it's easy to just be like, hey, get that blue thing and bring it back here. That is an instruction that a young child can follow pretty easily that actually directly benefits our team and contributes to the match in a way that is meaningful, and that's really cool. I have enjoyed playing with the kids that we've had on the field. I think it's cool that they're out there. I would like my kid to be one of them. I actually asked that my wife bring him out to me really quick while I'm recording this so that I could say, and my third reason is this guy, and like have him and it'd be cute and whatever, but he's eating right now, and you know, he really likes raspberries and cheese and stuff, and I don't want to take raspberries away from him, so I'll probably like intercut something with him just because he's cute and I like him. So, and there you have it. Those are the 3 overarching reasons why I do this. I like playing close quarters at slower speeds. I like limited ammunition capacities. I like not hurting people, and I like that it is something that I can hopefully do with my child that will be cool. And if you have experience with the other sports, airsoft, paintball, gel ball, laser tag, I would love to hear why you do this instead of that, or in addition to that, because I know there are quite a few players who do airsoft and Nerf in our hobby. So let me know in the comments down below how you feel about it, etc. Tell me your story. I'd love to hear it. You can also jump in Discord and we can talk about it there. Other than that, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'll have a call to action for this video, so I'm just gonna point and I'll put something there, and maybe it's cool and relevant to you as a person, and maybe it's not. I don't. It's a mystery. Thank you.